Hi there. Welcome to Craft with Kathie. Tonight's project is going to be creating a nice little holiday sign, and it'll be quick, it'll be easy like most of our projects are, and actually this is perfect for the newbie. So if you're new, just comment new below so that I can share some additional information with you. Don't be shy, we're all friends here. I'm going to take this transfer out of its packaging. It actually is a 12 by 18 inch transfer, so it's a little bit one of our larger size. It's a C size transfer, but it can be cut into 4 pieces to create 4 individual signs. Transfers come in little cellophane envelopes like this. Well, this one's not so little now, is it? I store my transfers back in their little envelopes. That's the easy way for me. I know some people put them in portfolios, whatever, but I actually like putting them back into their little cellophane envelope, or big cellophane envelope if the case may be. And then I hang them on a hanger with the little hang tags here, and I just put them in an armoire, and that works for me. The surface I'm going to be using tonight is actually our rectangular simple shapes. Perfectly sized for this type of a transfer, and they come 2 in a pack. Did you see today's 5th day of Chalkmas special A-size transfers, which are the 5 by 7 or 4.5 by 6 or whatever they are? They're smaller than 5 by 7. Some of them are on sale right now for $5 each. It's only good for today. So far, all of our Days of Christmas specials will last up until the 12th, but today's is only for today. So if there's something out there in an A size, a smaller transfer that you've been looking at, grab it now, because $5 is really a great deal. So I have changed the way I cut my transfers apart. I used to cut through the backer. Our transfers are adhesive backed, so they're sticky. So they have this little backer that doesn't stick to it, that you could peel it off of. And I used to cut through the transfer and the backer. But I found that when I did that, I'd have 4 individual pieces. I'd put them in my little cellophane bag, and they'd all fall to the bottom, and I couldn't see the images quite as well. So what I've started doing is just cutting the transfer apart, leaving the backer intact, and when I'm done using it, I clean it and then put it on the backer. Same thing I would do normally. The only difference is my backer is in 1 piece instead of 4 individual pieces. And so far that's working out good for me. It's just I have a bunch that are the other way right now, so it's like, okay, I thought of this a long time ago. I had seen someone else do it, and I was going to switch, and then I just was a little intimidated by cutting like I'm cutting right here. It actually is really easy. Our transfer trimmers have an extra long blade, so it makes cutting them apart real easy. So I don't have to take any of these actually off the backer until I'm going to actually use them. And our transfers are reusable 8 to 12 times or more. They're adhesive back, and they can be used even when the stickiness goes away. It will diminish overuse in washings, but there are ways around it. So if you've got a transfer that is no longer sticky and you'd like to use it, just private message me and I'll point you in the right direction for what you can do to eliminate that issue. And I am missing my fuzzing cloth. Here's the deal. If you don't have a fuzzing cloth, you can use a towel, you could use a pair of jeans, you could use your sweater. So I guess I'm going to have to use a pair of jeans here. So I'm going to use the holiday cheer image off of this transfer. Let me move this out of the way so that I've got a little bit more room to work. And so I'm going to just deliberately put a little bit of lint on the back of this so I diminish the stickiness. And of course I've gotten ahead of myself here for a moment. Let me set this aside. I don't normally do this, but I didn't prep my surface. And as this is wood, it should be waxed. And I kind of glossed over that, or actually missed it. So I'm going to apply a little surface wax to this surface and prep it. Now the reason that we wax wood is so that it acts as a barrier between the actual surface and the adhesiveness of our transfer. Because our transfers are adhesive, I don't want to take any chance. Now this is kind of like a wood composite or whatever. I don't want that's been whitewashed. I don't want to take any chance that I go to lift up my transfer and I lift up some paint or a splinter or a sliver or something like that. So the surface wax acts as a barrier to kind of protect your transfers a little bit. And the other thing it does is it acts as a barrier, because wood is very porous, and we're going to be using chalk paste made from chalk. It has pigment added to it for the coloring. And being that wood is porous, that pigment will seep into the wood rather quickly. So if I make a mistake or anything by putting a little layer of wax on first with the barrier, I might be able to wash off my little oops and correct it before the pigment soaks into the wood. So kind of twofold in that regard. And the third reason that we use wax on wood is wood is uneven. It's not totally smooth. Even though it might feel smooth to our hands, it's not. If you looked at it under a microscope or with a magnifying glass, you could see little ridges and little dips. And by putting a little barrier of wax on there, it smooths out those little ridges. Why am I having a problem with this again? I didn't have last week I was having such an issue with my jars. It's me. It's not the jars, and it's not the wax. Anyway, I want to cap this up so that it doesn't dry out. I like our little containers of surface wax. They're small. If I leave the cap off, it's not like I'm, drying out a $20 or $25 jar of wax from the hardware store. Plus, these are fragrance free, so that really appeals to me. I don't like anything with strong fumes. So anyway, I've applied the wax, and now I'm just going to buff it off or rub it in. It's basically doing the same thing, rubbing it in and buffing off the excess. But it'll be really, really smooth. You can feel the difference when with your fingers when you go over it. So that helps give us a clearer definition when we apply the transfer and the chalk paste. Less apt to have any bleeding or any smearing. Occasionally that'll happen if you have an air bubble, but really not too often. And wood is considered one-time use, where a lot of our surfaces can be used multiple times. For example, our chalkboards, you could use it, put something on for the season. When spring's headed this way, rinse it off and use it again. But wood, because of the porosity of it, is generally considered a one-time use. Now, truly, if you put something on and you made an oops or whatever, there's another side. Of course, there's the other side. But not only that, you could probably wash it. If there's any residual paste, sand it and paint it, or not paint it, or just paint over the paste, whatever, and reuse it again. So it's really not that big of a deal. And with how inexpensive these little rectangular simple shapes are, very easy to replace. Okay, so I'm going to put this transfer on my surface. I want to center it pretty much. I might leave a little bit more space at the top. I'm thinking of putting a hanger there, and I'm not quite sure which or how I'm going to do that. And excuse me, I've got a piece of fuzz from my shirt on here. If you do get a piece of fuzz somewhere that you don't want it, if it's in the teal part, it's not a big deal. But you don't want it over the silk screen, because you don't want it to impede your chalk paste from going through the silk screen to the surface beneath. Okay, so you line this up. I'm going to put it a little bit closer to the bottom just because I'm going to put a hanger at the top. Not quite sure what kind of hanger yet or what. Because I'm probably going to end up doing the other side of this too. So I'm smoothing it down, making sure there's no air bubble. I feel a little bump here. Picked up some little fuzzy or something. Yeah, if your fuzzing cloths are starting to pick up lint from other surfaces, it's time to wash them. I know that's headed for the laundry. So I'm going to use 2 different color pastes. I've been doing a lot of red and green, but I'm going to use the Nominee for my gold. You could use Shimmer Frost, which is very similar to Nominee. The Nominee is a little bit more metallic, whereas the Shimmer is a little bit more sparkly. The Nominee was available, it was a one-time only type thing. It was the color of the month a couple months ago, and it came back just in time for, I think it was our November specials or Black Friday specials. But isn't that beautiful? So these are some very, very nice colors, a little bit different, but I wanted something a little bit different for a change. So this is Colonial Blue. Oh, and you know what? This is thick. I haven't used it in a while now. I said our paste is made out of chalk. Well, if your paste gets a little bit thick, you want to spritz it with a little bit of distilled water and mix it up. Make sure that you use distilled water because there are chemicals in tap water, and those chemicals could very well impact the pigments in the paste and distort the color a little bit. So let me mix this up and just add a little bit of water and mix it. Your paste should be kind of consistency, not as thick as Greek yogurt, a little bit thinner than Greek yogurt. You don't want it runny. It should definitely like hold its shape like, well, that's not holding its shape very well, is it? Let me mix that up a little bit more. Kind of like egg whites, but not as stiff, of course. And if you put too much water and it's too runny, then all you have to do is leave the cover off and give it a stir every now and then. It will thicken back up. Just remember, don't leave it out overnight like that, because you don't want to have it too thick again and start all over. So I'm going to use the Colonial Blue in the center for the holiday cheer, and I'm just going over the silk screen with it, making sure I get everything covered, removing any lines, any excess paste. A little paste really does go a long way here. So I get everything covered there. Take off the excess paste, smooth it out. You put the excess paste back in the jar. No sense wasting it. And then, I have another squeegee here. I'm going to do my border in the Nominee. And I want to be a little careful that I don't want to go off the surface. If I do go off onto the wood, I want to hurry up and clean it before the pigment could seep into the wood itself. I just thought this border was so nice and dainty and pretty that it really lent itself to a pretty gold. Hence the colors I picked for tonight. If you'd like to be privy to some additional ideas, inspiration, or insider information, comment VIP below so that I could add you to my free crafting group. There are things that I could share in my VIP group that I can't share on a public page, like my Craft with Kathie page is a public page. So if you're interested in bundles or some other extra little specials that are from me and not the company, you definitely want to be in my VIP group. However, the VIP group is not open to other designers. Company policy prohibits us from having designers in our private groups. So just comment VIP if you'd like the link to my free crafting group. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a chalk couture designer? It's so much fun. This wonderful group of creative, sharing, friendly people, and a company that is so responsive to requests and ideas and everything else. It's absolutely been an amazing experience for me. I knew from the moment I saw the product being demoed that I was so excited to try it. I signed up as a designer before I even tried it myself, and there's really been no looking back. It has given me the opportunity to make lots of new friends, to exercise my creativity, to earn additional cash at my leisure. It really has been a wonderful experience. And sometimes it's totally kept me sane, you know, especially with the pandemic and everything else. It helped me not go stir crazy being cooped up in the house. So it's really been a great experience and I love it. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about becoming a designer, just comment team below and I will hook you up with a video that talks all about it. We have a great special this month. Sign up as a designer. You could sign up for $10, which gets you no kit or supplies or anything. Or our new kit that was just released the first of this month is $99. And it's like a $270 value, close to $300. And it comes with some amazing things. So I'd be happy to share that information with you. Just comment team and I will send it off to you. Let me put the excess back in here. And I think we're ready for peel and reveal. I'm going to lift this up slowly so if I have any mistakes or I missed any area, I could fix it while the transfer's still attached. Oh, look at that. A little holiday cheer. How cool is that? So I think what I'm going to do is do something in the opposite side. I just have to think of what kind of hanger I want to use so that it can be used both ways. I might just go with a beaded hanger or something in neutral colors in case I do red and green on the other side. That's just my thoughts. If you have any ideas or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Always welcome to any kind of input. Let me cover this up and get these out of the way and show you how quick and easy it is to clean this transfer. Remember I said our transfers are reusable 8 to 12 times or more? Yep, with proper care they are, and proper care is so easy. Wait until you see it. And of course, I don't want to bump this while it's drying. It'll take 5 to 8 minutes to dry. If I didn't want to wait for it to dry on its own, I could use our heat tool, which will dry it quicker, but then you can't hear me talk because it's a little loud. But it's it has kind of like direct heat, kind of like a hairdryer, but the nozzle's a little bit smaller, and it will dry surfaces very, very quickly. The only thing, if you use it, make sure that the surface returns to room temperature before you continue working with it if you're adding another layer of paste. Now I'm just going to spritz this with a little bit of water. And I am going to use a board eraser to clean it. Obviously, this has been used before. I'm going to wet that down and show you how quick and easy it is to clean this. Excuse my spritzer. I found this one on Amazon and it just doesn't work like ours used to. Okay, so I want to remove the excess paste. Now, if you were cleaning this at home, you could run this over to the sink and use it underneath your sprayer or whatever. It makes it real easy. And just kind of massage the paste off with your fingers. It doesn't take one. I like using the board eraser, especially when I'm doing it for my surface or even at the sink. It just makes it quick. The board eraser is reusable. They come 2 in a pack. And you just wash them and use them again until they start crumbling. Once they start crumbling, it's time to swap it out for a new one. And I usually cut them into pieces instead of using the entire piece. Now I'm going to go over this with a disinfecting wipe and just remove any excess paste that's on the top. Notice I picked up a lot of that gold, the gold shimmer. And then once I have the top all clean, I'm going to flip it over and clean the adhesive side. So I want to go back over this, remove the paste from the sticky side, and I usually use kind of like a circular motion. Sometimes I get a little bit too much in a hurry and cause it to wrinkle on itself. I don't want to do that. So I want to get all the paste out. And then once I have the paste removed from the transfer, then I'm going to remove the lint that we deliberately applied, because I want to remove as much lint as possible because I want this to be nice and sticky for the next use. Okay, so I've got the paste out of it. I'm going to come back over with my little wipe and just go across the transfer in one direction to basically wipe off any of that lint. If you're not sure if you got all the paste off, just pick it up and look at it through the light and see if you can see through the silk screen. As long as you don't see cut paste in the silk screen, you know you're fine. And as long as you don't see a lot of lint or anything on the back, then you know the sticky side is fine. So after I clean off all the paste and the lint, I just put this somewhere to dry on a flat surface until it's dry. Once it's dry, I will put it back onto its backer. Now, here's the only thing that's different with me not cutting these backer sheets. When I used to cut them into pieces, once my transfer was dry, I would take the piece and lay it back on the transfer, because it's easier to take this that's not sticky and apply it to something sticky as opposed to taking this and trying to align it here. So I just have to be a little bit more patient and when I apply this, because now I have to apply this to this whole piece. But it's really no big deal. It kind of offsets the fact, the actual techniques wash. I'm happy to be able to hang this in one whole piece and see it in my armoire as I flip through my transfer so I could find it easier. So that's fine with the extra 30 seconds it takes me to align that. So I'll just wait until that dries and then put it back and put everything back in its little cellophane envelope, and then I will be good to go. How quick and simple was this? I know it's a small sign, but sometimes we don't need a large sign. And you could hang it, or you could actually put it in our little simple shape stand and just stand it up. Now, because this is so long, I'd probably put one on each side and just set it in there and hang it up and put it on like a bookcase or an entry table or your mantle or wherever you want to display a little bit of holiday cheer. Thank you so much for watching me. I surely do appreciate it. I hope I see you tomorrow for the next installment of Holiday Signs. See you soon.